What's up, Rasmanites? It's time for me to review the latest masterpiece from sometimes controversial director Quentin Tarantino, Django Unchained. Today, on the Razman's Reality. The title. This will contain spoilers, so fair warning if you haven't seen it, because Tarantino is the kind of director where you can't review his films without delving into the plot, because the plot is what makes the film worth watching, with Tarantino more so than most directors in Hollywood. So, fair warning. Also, yes, I did unintentionally lie. I had fully intended to shoot this review on the same day that I shot my partnership announcement video and the How to Never Miss Any of Our Facebook posts, Handi Enterprises Inc. video, but some family stuff came up and I never got a chance to do so. So, that's it. Now we're going to start breaking down the film, so if you're still here and you haven't seen it, you're watching at your own risk. Okay, Django Unchained stars Jamie Foxx as Django, a slave who is in existence 2 years before the Civil War, and the movie opens up with him and a bunch of other slaves chained together walking with their slave master, in full-on ball and chain. And then we see the introduction of Christoph Waltz's character, Dr. Schultz. I can't remember his first name for the life of me. I apologize. But we see the introduction of his character. He's a dentist, or so he claims to be, and he's interested in buying a particular slave. A slave from a plantation. I can't remember the first name of the plantation either. The small details kind of get lost in a Tarantino film. Anyone that has seen one will know what I'm talking about. But he's in search of a particular slave from a particular plantation, and his reasons are not yet known, but he stops the slave owner and he goes up to the slaves and says, "Who amongst you is from this plantation?" Then Django speaks up and says, "I'm from this plantation." And then he's like, "Well, you're exactly who I'm looking for." And he proceeds to try to buy Django, and the slave owner who owns Django won't give Django away for anything. So what's he do? He proceeds to, in classic Tarantino style, shoot the guy down in cold blood. I mean, not yet, he doesn't shoot him in cold blood. He shoots in cold blood some of his henchmen and his brother, and then he shoots down the slave owner. His horse, puts a bullet in him so his horse will land on top of him. Then he proceeds to explain that he is a man of business trying to make a business transaction, and in the end he gets what he wants. He tells Django to actually get up on a horse, which is something unheard of at this time in the world, for a black man to get on top of a horse freely. Sorry, I think I unintentionally just kind of whistled there through my teeth, but when I said horse, but yeah, it was an unheard of thing for a black man to be treated like an equal. So you knew from the moment that this happens that this movie is going to be a crazy, crazy ride. And without talking for 20 minutes about setting up the plot, because I'll have some other things to say anyway. The bottom line is you find out that Schultz isn't a dentist. Schultz is a German bounty hunter. And he's on a mission to get these two guys who have eluded him for a while. And that's why he recruits Django, because Django was the last known recorded person of record to have seen these individuals. And he has no idea what they look like. So after they track down these two guys who mistreated Django, and Django kills two of them and Waltz kills the other one, Waltz realizes that Django has a real talent for the bounty hunting business. And he convinces Django to become his partner and spend a winter with him, collecting all these bounties. And then at the end of the winter, he'll take him into Tennessee himself to find his enslaved wife, who, as I said, is a slave and is still under capture. So obviously Django gives a real talent for slave hunting, and a lot of cool things happen that are really great Tarantino moments throughout. But then you get to the meat of the plot, which is, in order to find Django's wife, Brunhilde, Waltz and Django end up in this place in Tennessee, this plantation called Candyland, which is owned by Monsieur Candy, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And Monsieur Candy's right-hand man, or head of the big house, is actually an elderly black gentleman who's been treated well and is basically an extension of the Candy family. Stephen, played by the great Samuel L. Jackson, of course. What would it be a Tarantino movie without Sam Jackson? And his character and his role, in my opinion, was the best Sam Jackson role I've seen since Pulp Fiction. He was so funny and so into this character. If I didn't know that he wasn't somewhere between mid-80s to mid-90s, in real life, I would think he actually was. That's how convincing he played this role. How deep he got into this white man loving black man character. He was just so far gone that I completely forgot, other than hearing his voice, that I was watching Sam Jackson. Like, when you get involved in a good film, you don't really register the actors that you're watching play roles. You just get invested in characters. And that's what happened with the Steven character of Sam Jackson and the Leonardo DiCaprio character of Monsieur Tandy, and the Christoph Waltz character of Schultz, and the Jamie Foxx character of Django. All these main characters invested you in this story so much that by the end of 2 hours and 45 minutes, I wasn't feeling like I was in the cinema for a long period of time. This was a masterpiece. It was Tarantino-style direction, still using old school scores, eclectic scores. He had all kinds of music in there, from hip-hop to country to classical and everything in between. He used old-fashioned pan and scan camera shots where, you start at one corner of the table, then you take the camera around and you go behind people's heads and you end up on the other side of the table. Like, it was just distinctly Tarantino. And the investment that you get in Django's story makes the violence seem justified. It makes the language seem justified. And that's another one of my favorite things about Tarantino. I'm a Christian. I don't believe in swearing. I think swearing in film is always an overkill. Like, I don't know of a time where I ever feel like it's necessary to swear in anything. But when Tarantino has swear words come out of his character's mouth, it seems to add to the emotion and the depth that you're feeling for the individuals, and it makes you laugh. You actually laugh at lines when the characters are swearing. You don't feel offended by it. And that is the mark of a great story and the mark of a truly great director when that happens. There is a moment in one of the very finale scenes of the film when Django is about to destroy Candyland, and he tells Steven that he has to stay where he is because he's right where he belongs, and he's setting Candyland on fire. And Steven is so frustrated with Django at this point that he's like, Lord Jesus, please let me kill this MF. And it made me belly laugh. That moment and several others in this film made me belly laugh. But particularly that particular line in that particular moment, because you can feel for the character and what the character is feeling. I've never belly laughed so hard at a moment of a character swearing in my life. I just got so completely lost in this film. I haven't been that completely lost in a Tarantino film since Pulp Fiction. Don't get me wrong. I love everything. I love Inglourious Bastards. I love the Kill Bill saga. I love Jackie Brown. I love everything Tarantino's ever done. But in my opinion, Django Unchained was perfect. It was slow. And slow is good for a Tarantino film, because it's the kind of slow that didn't feel like a slow movie. Like I said, you sat there for 2 hours and 45 minutes and it didn't feel like 2 hours and 45 minutes. It felt like a very engaging story from shot one to shot final. And I just cannot say enough about Django Unchained. I could have gone into way more detail than I even did, but I'm trying to keep my videos under 20 minutes just to not give those of you with a short attention spans too much to digest. No, I'm only half kidding. The main reason is my computer power. But yeah, Django Unchained to me is the second best Tarantino film of all time, behind Pulp Fiction. And in some aspects, and people are probably gonna really lynch me for this, but in some aspects I fully think that Django Unchained is a better film than Pulp Fiction. Not overall, so I can't put it ahead of Pulp Fiction overall, but I thoroughly enjoyed Django Unchained. And if there was ever a 5 out of 5 star or a 10 out of 10 film, it's Django Unchained. There wasn't a single thing wrong with Django Unchained. The best $10 treat that I ever had from my cousin ever. We went to $5 movie night, so it was $5 for my ticket, $5 for his, and it was the best $10 I think either one of us have ever spent in a long time. Well, actually he spent it, so because I just kind of double standard myself, and intentionally he paid for me to go with him and hung out with me, but he got out of there and we both agreed that was well worth him spending his $10 is what I meant to say. So yeah, if you haven't seen Django Unchained, you owe it to yourself to see this film. It's an absolute cinematic masterpiece, and it shows what can be done right with cinema in a day and age where so much is done wrong with it. And I have to see Zero Dark 30 still, and I have to see Les Miserables still. But once I see those films, I'll be able to make my top films of 2012, and I guarantee that Django Unchained is going to be very, very high on that list. And it's pushing the Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises. That's how good it is. By the time I make the list, I might actually have Django Unchained ahead of one of those blockbuster superhero films, which is saying a lot. A lot. So with that, don't forget to check out the official sponsors of this program and channel. Handi Enterprises Inc, your productivity and communication specialist. All company contact information, as always, is down below in the description box. If you want to help me reach my 200 unique people challenge, so I get a $200 bonus by year's end, all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel one time and like and follow all the social media one time, and I'm one person closer. Also, don't forget, if you're interested in becoming a full YouTube partner, please apply with Full Screen Entertainment Network through my kickback link if you meet all of the criteria. And that information, as well as always, is down below in the description box. This is reality according to the Razman and Razman style. It's not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.